Joining us now, a man who may be going up against the former president for the GOP presidential nomination. It's New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu. Governor Sununu, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thanks so much.
All right. Well, you spoke at a donor conference this weekend. It was about national politics, potentially running for president. Are you closer to a decision? And what is holding you back if you're not?
Yeah, so no, I'm not really focusing on the decision right now. There'll be plenty of time for that. Right now, my mission is making sure we're making this party bigger, frankly. You can't govern if you don't win, and so I'm really focused on how do we win, no matter who the candidate is. How do we win in November of 24? Well, we have to attract independents. We have to bring that next generation of voter more on the team. There's a lot of gap between where we are as Republicans and the younger, let's call it the 27 and under generation of potential Republicans. So I'm trying to steer the message in the right way. I'm trying to get folks a little more optimistic, inspirational, hopeful for this great product that I think the Republicans have. Sometimes we're just not so great on the messaging.
You know, it's interesting to me that you're at Club for Growth talking about making this your message. The Club for Growth last year supported a lot of candidates that Donald Trump supported. Now, they've broken from him on the presidential, but they spent a lot of times not supporting candidates that you just described, not supporting the candidates that arguably would have tried to grow the party or appeal to the middle. Have you heard any regret at this conference about how Club for Growth worked in 2022?
No, look, it's not about regret. I think the entire Republican Party, hopefully they looked at November of 22, saw that we didn't win the races that we should have won, understand the value of candidate quality, of messaging, of getting out there early, of not letting Democrats define you early. It's not just about money. It's about having that collective message that has to go forward about being more optimistic, about being something that folks want to join, not just with their dollars, but with their vote, hopefully in November, and not, like I said, not let those Democrats define it. So, no, I think it's just a fundamental change in approach that I think the entire Republican Party is very open to and looking forward to as we hit the November election.
I understand what you're trying to do. At the same time, you heard the former president at CPAC, and he certainly has a stranglehold on 25 to 35% of the party. We can have a debate about the specific number. And you know what those folks want? They want to make liberals cry, right? Like, that's the message they want. They want that more than they want a big tent. So how do you appeal to those voters?
You focus on leadership that is results-driven, that gets stuff done. You know, in 2017 and 2018, as a Republican, I was told we were going to get immigration reform. It didn't happen. I was told about health care reform. I was told about balancing a budget and taking care of our debt, not spending more than we actually have, actually working towards free trade and these types of things that can be economic engine and drivers. A lot of that did not happen. Because some good things happened. Don't get me wrong. I give the president credit where it's deserved on regulatory reform and his speed of the vaccine, things like that. But a lot of things didn't happen. If there's that part of the party that wants to, as you said, make liberals cry or whatever it might be, you do it by winning, and you do it by getting stuff done, passing it through Congress, working on both sides, taking the first steps of securing the border and immigration reform. You do it by getting stuff done, not just through winning a nomination. You got to close the deal, and you got to get it done in 25. And so that's what we're doing. We're looking for the most conservative candidate that can win in 24 and actually work with Congress to kind of finish the deal, finish on that obligation, that accountability in 25.
Look, you may be running to lead a party that did this yesterday. The Texas Republican Party censured a Republican member of Congress, Tony Gonzalez, who won a swing district, okay, in an area that, you know, it's not always easy for Republicans to win. And his two sins were supporting a gun reform bill following the shooting at Uvalde and for voting to codify same-sex marriage protections. And I looked at what he was censured for, and I'm like, boy, they haven't met Governor Sununu yet in Texas.
Well, look, there are aspects of the Republican Party, whether it's the Texas Republican Party, the New Hampshire Republican Party, all the different groups that are out there. They have their own vision. They have their own leadership. They have their own agendas, of course. That's why, as candidates, we have to be about what we're going to deliver, the accountability that we believe in, standing up and making sure we actually not just win the election, but show up and actually do the job. That's what ultimately galvanizes support around you. And Republicans cannot win without independence. It cannot happen. So if we just stay in this ultra ultra-conservative extreme lane, which is a very small part of the party, by the way, that's all we're going. I get it. That's where the headlines are going to be, right? But at the end of the day, if we can get stuff done, I think governors do a great job of that. Mayors do a great job of that. Senate and Congress, not so much on either side of the aisle. But governors and mayors have an amazing ability every day to make decisions, to impact people's lives and deliver results. And that's exactly what folks are going to be looking for in 24.
The RNC chair, Ronna McDaniel, says that she wants to have candidates sign a pledge. They'll support the Republican nominee, no matter who it is, if you want to participate in an RNC-sanctioned event. Are you comfortable signing that pledge if Donald Trump's involved?
Yeah, look, I'm a lifelong Republican. I'm going to support the Republican nominee. When you look at what's coming out of the White House, it isn't Democrat policies. It's real left-wing, extreme agenda-type stuff that is not in the best interest of this country. And I have no doubt that any solid Republican would be better than what comes out. As far as former President Trump, I think he's going to run. Obviously, he's in the race. He's not going to be the nominee. That's just not going to happen. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity to bring forward what the Republican Party, not what we were, not yesterday's leadership or yesterday's story, or crying about what happened in November of 22, but what we're going to bring to the table and get done tomorrow. That's what America's looking for. And so I'm really confident that whoever comes out of the Republican nomination process is going to lead this country and will be able to deliver a win in 24. And I'll back them.
You know, New Hampshire Republicans have a habit of actually always going for the outsider, whatever that moment is, in that moment, who the outsider candidate is. And it's been remarkable to me that Donald Trump looks like he's trying to be the outsider. He ran the party. He was the institutional head of the party. He's running as an outsider. And I know you want to be the outsider, but in many ways, he's already lumped everybody against him. Do you think he's effectively carving out an outsider lane for himself?
I think the former president has his own lane. He doesn't need to carve anything. He's an absolute known commodity to every American in this country, right? There's very few people that are on the fence whether they're with him or not with him or whatever it might be. So I think he just has his lane, and then there's everyone else, which is a vast majority of the party, that's looking for an alternative. Right now, if the election were today, Ron DeSantis would win in New Hampshire. There's no doubt about that in my mind. I think Ron DeSantis would win in Florida. So I think the former president is trying to find a path to be back that leading voice of the party. I think a lot of us are, that potentially may get in the race, want to have something to say about the direction of that conversation. But look, again, thank you for your service. We're moving on. I just don't believe the Republican Party is going to say that the best leadership for America tomorrow is yesterday's leadership. That doesn't make any sense. That is not in our DNA as Americans. It's kind of the antithesis of the American spirit to settle for yesterday's news. We want the next generation, the next big idea, and that's what we're going to deliver.
The abortion issue is one that I think is twisted. If the crime issue is twisted, the Democrats in knots. The abortion issue is twisted, the Republican Party in knots. A lot of people dismiss your candidacy by simply saying the Republican Party is never going to nominate somebody who calls themselves pro-choice or has been identified as pro-choice. How do you change that sentiment in the party?
Well, the whole dynamic around that issue has changed, right? So most governors are taking it upon themselves to either, if they're pro-life, they're moving to ban it. And in some states, they're making that choice. That's between them and their voters. There are some governors that are looking for this whole, pro-abortion stuff up until the day of birth, and we'll see where that goes. That's terrible. New Hampshire has a 24-week rule. Some states have 20 weeks or 16 weeks. That's where we all are, right? So we all the majority of us provide some choice in some fashion. But if you're pro-life, then those governors are going to truly ban it. If you're pro-abortion there, and the rest of us are kind of in the middle here. So I just think the fundamental conversation has changed so much. Not that it's not an important issue, but folks are going to have to really define themselves as to where they are. I don't worry about it too much because we have a 24-week rule in New Hampshire. It's pretty much where most of America is.
You said something interesting in one of your previous interviews about, this idea that if you get in, it could dilute the field and that helps Trump. And you said it's not about getting in, it's about knowing when to get out. So what does that mean? Yeah.
Well, that means, look, one thing I've learned, I've won 4 times. I've been in this political game for a while. I've learned that you can't tell people not to run. If someone really wants to run, they're going to run, and that's fine. But unlike 2016, I'm going to make sure, and I think folks are going to make sure, that we all have the discipline to get out before it's too late. And those that don't, I think will be chastised very publicly for doing so. But I got to be honest. I've talked to all the candidates. They all understand that. They really do. We're going to take our time. There's still a lot to play out over the next 9 months to see who can really galvanize to make sure that we have a candidate that's winning a true majority of the vote. And I have full confidence, I should say, that we're going to get there.
By the way, have you ruled out running for governor again?
No, look, I don't rule anything out. I really don't. I'm in the. I just passed. I didn't pass it yet. I submitted my balanced budget with a big surplus and all that kind of stuff to the legislature. I got to go through my legislative session. So I love being governor. I mean, I love it. It is a job unlike any other. So we'll see what happens, in the future.
What do you think Rupert Murdoch and Fox News need to do to regain some trust after what we've learned about this? And are you at all concerned you can have an honest conversation with Fox viewers?
Oh, I don't think it's just Fox. I mean, I'll put them in there, but all of media, all of television media, and everyone has to own a little bit of the lack of trust, the lack of accountability. It's okay to get something wrong in the news, but you got to come back and own it. And whether it's Fox or CNN or MSNBC or whatever, everyone just has to own it. As a governor, I might try 4 or 5 things, and if 1 or 2 don't work, I'll say, hey, that didn't work.
What about intentionally lying to viewers?
So we can acknowledge it. We can pivot the funding.
Intentionally lying to viewers, though, that to me seemed to cross the line. You can make a mistake, but that wasn't a mistake.
So explain to me that, look, I'm not defending anybody because I think you're all in the same basket. I really do. But I could go to CNN when they're going to ignore the Hunter Biden laptop story. We could talk about the virus truly coming out of the lab in Wuhan. We could talk about a lot of different things. If you're not owning that you misrepresented the story, whether it was intentional or not, everybody does it. And that's the problem. America is losing faith in media, and you guys have a huge opportunity to regain that. But right now, my message to Fox News is build your ratings, build your audience, go bigger. Because if we don't go bigger as a Republican Party, we can't win in November. So I want them to talk to independents more, not change our values or who we are or what we're talking about as Republicans, but get more opportunistic about the chance to bring more people in.
Well, Governor, I can promise you this. At NBC News, you make a mistake like that, you would lose your job. I know that here, for what it's worth. Governor Sununu, appreciate you coming on.
Not you. You would never do it. I'm not worried about you.
I appreciate you saying that.
You bet.
Governor, thanks for coming on and sharing your perspective with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.